Hello guys, my name is Marian Petrov and today I want to show you another good attacking games. And this game is pretty old. This is from 1892 and it's between two of the best players at the time. Captain William Evans against Alexander McDonnell. The first one is from Wales, the other one is from England, considered to be the best player in Britain at the time. And the opening, as you could have imagined when maybe some of you hear that White is playing William Evans, it was a sea captain who has invented this very interesting move B4, which is now called the Evans Gambit. What was the idea of Evans Gambit? Of course, originally in the Italian, people used to play C3 and then D4. And there are some really very sharp lines which were known from the time of Gioacchino Greco. But later Black has found a way to deal with them. Of course, even at this time, I'm not sure exactly, in 1829, it's still Black knew how to defend in the best possible way. But Evans decided that in order to speed up this process with C3 and D4 and to create a nice center, why don't we just sacrifice a pawn? You know that this was the romantic age of the chess and people not so bothered to sacrifice a pawn or two or even pieces just to get the initiative and to try to create something. It could be attack or nice center.
The big day is here because this new course with 42 attacking principles is ready, it's out there. I put my best foot forward in order to collect all the attacking principles, and with Grandmaster Marian Petrov we created this amazing chess course, and you can follow the link below of this video in order to read the description. Now please let me show you how the course is inside. If you enroll to this course, you can see it here, and after that you can start learning one lesson after the other. And if you click here on PGN file and exercises, and there in this green button, then you can see the PDF document. We have 5 of them, each one has 10 exercises, and then you have the positions. You can set up this position in your real board and try to figure out what is going on, and later you can scroll down and see the solutions there. If you like the course, you are very welcome to promote this one to your friends by our affiliate program. We have 50% commissions for you. So time is action is now.
And this is, by the way, I think still up to date one of the best gambits, because if you compare it to the King's Gambit or Northern Gambit, this is the one you can find really today some very top players using it, because unlike the other gambits, White is not worse in any case, and I think the best which Black can get is some kind of equal position. So Black takes, of course, the pawn and then C3, and today we know that Bishop A5 and Bishop E7 are the best moves, but back then we don't know exactly what was the state of the theory, definitely not like now, and McDonnell has played the move Bishop to C5. And now I think D4 is the best move. But then, of course, Black can take on D4, give this check, and maybe Evans wanted to avoid this check. So he decided to castle, which also should be a decent move anyway for White, even if it's not putting immediately pressure on Black. So maybe now Black can try to somehow develop his pieces, like D6, or and then D4, maybe Bishop B6 or Knight E7. There are such ideas, but okay, Black is playing now the most natural move, Knight F6. And finally it's time for White to play D4, because if you don't play D4, then simply Black is a pawn up. D4. Now Black has to decide what to do. To take on D4, to move the bishop back. He decided to take with his pawn. And maybe some of you who play this Italian type of positions know that often when White plays E5, Black should go D5, and in many lines the theory says that black is okay with this when white has the pawn on b2. But in this position, okay, first of all, white takes now with the tempo, there is no check. And this is the main idea, first of all, of the gambit. First of all, the king is not on e1, of course. So white has won one tempo for the castle. And, okay, he is missing this pawn, but missing this pawn even sometimes could give you the options to go bishop b2 and to have really strong bishops on the diagonal. So since there is no check, black decided to go back. And now white has to just start to develop his pieces and to take control into the center. And there are many options for white. You can say simply knight c3, but of course then black will castle. Bishop g5 is creating this threat e5, which looks interesting. e5 immediately, d5 immediately is chasing the knights away, but the most standard move in such a positions where white has those two pawns and there is knight on f6, especially when the bishop is not allowing the knight to go to d5, is to chase the knight with e5. Because now knight e4, I guess bishop d5 is coming. Knight g4 doesn't make any sense, h3, knight h6, bishop g5, and knight g8 of course is good for white. Maybe knight g5 is coming, or queen b3, bishop a3. So McDonnell thought, okay, now this is like the type of positions where we should go d5 with black, and when they move the bishop, we just go knight e4. Okay, so he goes d5. But now, should white move the bishop? I think comparing to the other types of positions, first of all, it's very important, like we mentioned, that the king is not on e1. Because maybe you know that when the king is on e1 in Italian, when you take on f6, black takes on c4, take on g7, etc. And black has time to play rook g8, bishop e6, queen somewhere, and castle queenside. But now the e-file is open. So this is changing the thing drastically. And that's why Evans has found the best move, which is to take. And now, already white has a very strong attack, and there are two good moves which white has to consider. To take on g7, and after rook g8 to give check with the rook, or to give the check immediately. What is the difference? If white takes, of course now the king cannot escape to the f-file, and maybe with the rook e1, if bishop e6, perhaps there is the move d5, which looks like a winning. There are some complications, of course, with queen f6, which white has to calculate, and now black wants to castle, but probably after pawn takes, it should be winning for white. And if not this, knight e7, yeah, maybe knight e7 is a little bit better version for black, but still, after bishop to g5, and let's say bishop e6, and now d5 or bishop e7, d5, but again, if you take and queen takes, then there is castle. So this is one line. Or if you want to avoid knight e7 and all those ideas, white can just go rook e1, and he decided to go for this rook e1 check, which leaves now black with only one option, to move the king. And now, again, there are plenty of possibilities for white, as you can see, but he has found a very nice idea, Mr. Evans, which was to first to give this check, to force black to go with his king on g8. Now the queen is protecting the checkmate, so there is no rook e8, but the black king is closing on his rook. So now the rook cannot come to make artificial castle, otherwise if the rook was on e8, it would have been more or less okay. So now what to do? If pawn takes, king takes, it's okay, but then when the king moves, again, this would allow the rook to go to e8. So white wants to keep, for the moment, the king on g8. And he is pushing the pawn, attacking the knight. There is no queen f6 because of the checkmate on the back rank, so black has to move the knight, but there is only one square, okay, b8 or a5. Both are not looking great, but okay, he preferred to go to a5 to protect the pawn on c4. Not sure if it was make any difference to go to b8. And now this was a very nice move, the next one from white, bishop e7. Because now, first of all, the queen has to move, and she has two options, but in case of queen e8, at least, I think that there are many options, but at least white can, if he wants, he can just win the queen that way. Probably there are some even maybe better moves. So the queen has to go to d7, but she is on the way of the bishop. So now you cannot move the bishop, which means that you cannot bring the rook into the game to defend. The other rook is also out of moves. The knight is out of moves. The bishop is out of moves. So basically, black has a terrible position, and it's difficult to see what is actually his plan, even if he has time to start to develop his pieces. So white now takes on g7. I told you before that maybe we should not take on g7 because now it can help the rook to move out, but he took it with a very clear plan, and this was not to give time to black to bring the rook to e8. So now how can white take advantage of the fact that you can see almost all the pieces of the black are far away from the king, and they cannot help, and we have the open file, and we have some diagonals where we can attack the king. So white needs to bring something on the g file, and if he gives check, it will be like a checkmate. So maybe we can bring the rook, but rook e4 doesn't threat anything. Rook e5, it's okay, but after f6, yeah, the rook has to go, it's still possible. So maybe the queen, but what can we do with the queen? g4 is defended, so we have to aim for g5. So he plays queen to d2, threatening mate in 1. And keeping an eye, of course, on the knight. Maybe even I can just go back with the bishop if I don't see a mate. So there are plenty of options. Now, what to do? If you move the rook, queen g5 check, and bishop f6 is a mate. So it's not possible. h6 is possible, or f6, but black wants to somehow to start to move his pieces out. So he wants to make way for the bishop and then for the rook, so he moves the queen to g4, defending the mate and hoping that he has time for bishop f5, maybe bishop g6, rook e8, and then king g8, and if he can do this, it will be great. Now, it looks like white has maybe some combination with sacrifices to give a mate, but unfortunately this check is possible. But now, okay, queen c3, there is some option, bishop d4 maybe, but this is not working because it's not a checkmate. So queen f4, king g7. So white has to find another way, and he did. Yeah, of course you can say knight c3, there are plenty of good moves, but the best move is queen c3 check. Because now there is no f6, and the king has to go to defend the rook. By the way, if he goes forwards, maybe when you see what happened, you can say, why didn't he go forward? It still would not help. Yeah, of course, white can simply take the rook, but there was a forced mate. Like, okay, now this is a very clever move, and if you go there, then you go to h5. So king g8 was played. Okay, maybe McDonnell thought, okay, now there is no check, so now maybe he has time to move the bishop, and then rook e8. And here again, of course, white has many moves. Some people would point out of the move bishop f6, who is creating a mate threat, and then also you just win the bishop, the rook. So probably bishop f6, bishop f5, bishop h8, and white has exchange up and a very strong attack. But when you can win a beautiful way, you have to do it. So this is a bit boring. Bishop f6. Much more nicer and beautiful is to sacrifice the queen. There is only one move. Now bishop f6, check, and then black cannot prevent. He tries to give his queen, but white is not interested, and after this check, the game is over with a very, very nice checkmate. So Mr. Evans have shown how dangerous could be his weapon, and like I said, even nowadays it's still a very dangerous line.
Thanks for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Here it's time for action. This is the initial page of my website, and here you can click Give me access to get access to free lessons. You can read this page, and if you scroll down, here you can add your name and your email. After that, you're going to take a free lesson how to avoid chess blunders. So, time for action is now, and you're very welcome to join my mail list.